I'll give everybody a second to get in here. It was actually first thing that came on my list was GBP USD. I had an alert set for this little range here. I wasn't trading during the Asia session, but I see that got a nice little accumulation, manipulation, distribution set up here on GBP, or I'm sorry, yeah, GU. Sorry, mine's a little foggy. Oops. So if we notice price kind of accumulates, nothing crazy here. No big movements during the Asian range between 7 and New York midnight. Then we begin the Judas swing up into this liquidity pool above these equal highs, and then start to expand with the London session. Now this goes along with my bias for GU that I want to see lower. It shows pretty clearly that it has a desire to go lower, probably down towards some weekly lows right here. Seems like that's what we're drawing towards. So pretty clean setup if you ask me. There's some sell side liquidity off that weekly low that we're drawing to. We may not be able to get a trade opportunity off this, but I have alerts set for this whole little buy to sell range right here. Ideally, I'd like to see this liquidity ran, but yeah, usually I would just set a limit, like for instance, and just set a limit there with stops up here and then target this, but the risk to reward isn't the greatest there. The only way that would work is maybe if we had, moved this up and set a limit there. But to be honest, the risk reward there still isn't that great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of monitor this, set alerts. If we get a nice retracement coming into the London close, we might get a nice little trade set up there. But that's something I did want to point out. Other than that, let's go ahead and get to indices. Okay, this is what I'm looking for here. Let me go ahead and delete some of this TA. There's too much shit everywhere. What I'm looking for is to see what kind of liquidity we raid. Now, I think we have buy side liquidity resting above both of these levels right here. I'm not going to be, not going to force anything, but I do see potential for this very small imbalance right here to be of interest. It's a little early. I don't like usually getting in a trade this quickly, and sometimes I miss trades because of that, which I have no problem with missing a trade. But I want to see where the big move of the morning takes us. Go ahead and watch. If we could form like a nice 3 drive up above this level, that's something I would consider. But again, no need to FOMO and force a trade. And if we miss one, who cares? I really don't care. We've got these relatively equal lows down here, which could be a target for market makers. So that's where I would see the sell side liquidity, the closest liquidity pool resting, and then this imbalance just below it. The 4-hour structure, internal, or the 1-hour structure is theoretically bullish here. And if we look at this, we have this, high, and you make a low. Now, it depends how you draw it. If you're more aggressive and you move your lows down, if we were already bearish, you draw it here. I'm going to be pretty conservative and be looking up here as the shift where I want to look to long, as based off of market structure. But looking at the 15-minute, seems like we're coming off this high and this little imbalance pretty rough. But again, I'm not going to force anything here. Specifically, we're looking for a break to the downside with displacement, leaving a fair value gap. But again, we won't force anything. I haven't really looked and checked for any S&T on the. Okay, so the NASDAQ does have some SMT going on. See how it's making a higher high, and we are not making a higher high on the S&P. So this is pretty interesting. Let's see where we go with this. Ideally, I would like a 3 drive up here into this level, but we might not get it. We'll see. Five-minute imbalance, a little more clear. Also, if you look at this last little buy to sell range right there, and then also we could end up just seeking the highs. That's why I want to be patient with this. No need to rush. Again, ideally, what I'd want to see if I was going to take a sell is maybe a little 3 drive here with the displacement breaker structure on the last of the drives. We are getting that SMT divergence with ES so far. That could change. But if we start to get that 3 drive and ES is just sitting inside of this whole little buy to sell range, we could have a little more confluence to go short on NOS. But again, it could still make this high. ES almost looks even a little cleaner. Also, if you guys, any of you guys have your, I see there's a bunch of comments. Said, yo, welcome back, dude. Welcome back to you too, man. What's up, Bosun? What's up, Scott? Good morning. Judas sold Jesus for 30 coins. It's kind of how you look at the Judas swing. I think the reason that, because I didn't come up with that name, ICT did, and I think the reason he said he named it was because there's something called a Judas goat at a sheep farm, and it walks towards the slaughterhouse, but never actually goes in, but it makes all the other animals think it's going in. That's where that name came from. I said, brother, just got out of med intervention. Need to do 100x on my grandpa's DGen account for the bills. Well, I hope everything's okay, but try not to DGen too hard. Sometimes it can make the pain worse. So he said, bro, these updates are fire. Yeah, I appreciate you coming through. We got a lot of viewers this morning, 32. So what do I think about Jeremy Grantham theory about market's final act? He says we're entering the last phase of cycle and it should be the biggest drop in the cycle before macro turn bull. I could definitely see that. I don't think the worst has come yet, if that's what you're asking for markets. Good morning. So he said Bitcoin just moving. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to move with NASDAQ. Bitcoin pretty much is NASDAQ's crony at this point. So with the S&P, I see we took out this high right here. A lot of trendline liquidity was built up in this area right there. They got taken now. A lot of people are looking at this as a breakout. We know that could be a potential selling opportunity, but we don't want to force anything unless the model presents itself, because it very well can just continue going. It almost seems to me that NASDAQ wants higher, but we'll see. Theoretically, it's still inside this 5 minute zone right here. A little supply zone. I'm gonna delete it because I don't like having too many lines on my stuff on my chart. Let's see if we're going into any higher time frame imbalances. Yeah, the 4 hour. Okay, we're in a 4 hour imbalance as well on the NASDAQ. Probably on S&P as well. That's correct. I don't necessarily require a 3 drive. That's ideally what I'd like to see, but I just need that clear displacement break of structure to the downside. The S&P is moving a little tighter here. NASDAQ's, I mean, that's kind of how usually things go. DXY is killing every freaking currency around the world. I know, dude. It seems like it's insane. How fucked up the DXY's been lately. Okay, so Mushy asks higher high on NOS and lower high on S&P. Doesn't that mean if we see a short setup, we should short S&P because NOS is stronger? No, it means the exact opposite. So if you see a higher high on one indice and not on the others, that means that if it agrees with your TA, that asset could be being distributed because it's being pushed above areas of liquidity. It's called SMT divergence. Same thing can go for euro dollar and the Great Britain pound versus the dollar. You could use, you can use the same thing for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Basically, any benchmark asset. With one of the underlying assets, you can use this ideology. I think NASDAQ might want this high up here. We'll see. And these zones, don't let these zones like fool you, like to make you think you should just short because price is in the zone. I forget sometimes that people, that are watching, they may not be haven't been around in the market or just around watching my streams as long. And I don't want people to get the wrong ideas or do the wrong things. Just because there's this red zone here doesn't mean that I'm just going to short from it. I know most of you know that, but I've gotten questions like that. Like I had somebody say like, they were like, it was something to do with some TA posted on Twitter. They're like, hey, I was wondering what went wrong. I took a sell up this line you had. And I was like, fuck. It's like, that's not what we're doing. We don't want to just sell at, just framework for potential sell. And also, any of you guys in the Discord, just if you want to talk, unmute your mics. I'm just chilling. It's not like I won't be upset if you start talking. I'd rather have people that are asking questions, shooting ideas off. What's up, Hoochie? I see your mic's fixed now.
Yeah, they did fix it.
Oh, yeah. So here with the NASDAQ, we are taking out this short-term low right here. but it's not necessarily where I'd want it to be just yet, just because, I mean, if we can get a very clear signal, I'll take it. But once we get close to these highs like this, it's kind of sus for me. We did feel this imbalance. Delete some of these. Okay, yeah, I like that. Let me just see where we'd be at right now. Let's see how we close this candle first. Don't just take the sell yet, because we could go higher still. The reason I have this out is if I do end up taking, I need to know very quickly what my stop loss is going to be. See, I'm not liking that necessarily. I'd like another drive up, but preferably, I mean, we got the fair value gap, but I don't like where we're at with that. Oftentimes, yeah, it looks like we're going to go for a third drive. But, and here's another thing. If, let's just say theoretically, we just go without us right here. It's totally fine. Like, don't, and you can't even like be mad or sad about it. I think they want higher. So the S&P's already made that higher high on the low time frames. And there it is. I think it just did at least. Let's see. That's why we want to wait, especially when you have this kind of reaction. Like, yes, we did break a low, but when you see that kind of wick come off of it, that small, it's not really displacement, to me. So that's a good example of, I know a lot of people when they come to trading indices and they're trading this liquidity rate model, that you get got a lot by that in the beginning. And it's like, it's not the end of the world if you do. You can still take a winning trade and make it back. But you know, at the end of the day, the more losses you can mitigate, the better, obviously. So nothing yet for me. It seems like bullish order flow is still in place as this just pushed down into a fair value gap in the low time frames and then expanded, so sought after this liquidity up here. And now we're getting to that point where we could see, you know, we're starting to coil up. There's not a lot of imbalances down below, right? The only liquidity is the structural liquidity. Similar setup on the S&P. S&P's made a nice little 3 drive here. So has the NASDAQ. So now it's getting a little more, you know, I guess, nicer potential setup. Still nothing there. You know, theoretically, I would need something under this low as of right now, a very rapid move. And we haven't got that yet. Similar story for the S&P. Now the S&P still has a lot of imbalances right here, but the thing with the S&P is, you know, to be honest, looking at this little range we've formed, you know, the sell would be over pretty quickly. Probably take this out of these lows. So I said, just to get clear, Bitcoin NQ correlation is the one to look between those. Yeah, I mean, really either of these, which this would be SES and this is NQ, but I'm just using a different chart because I'm trading on MetaTrader. But so we're starting to get that what we need on the S&P. I'm just gonna see the risk reward on both. You know, we're coming off these lows pretty rough. Not just shorting it. I'm just doing these to have a stop loss ready because these are pretty important to get it. You know. I wanted to take the NASDAQ over the S&P. Because we ended up getting above this now. It's not really the S&P anymore. So now we're starting to see that displacement. Ideally, what I want to see here is the NASDAQ give a nice sell opportunity. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take a NASDAQ sell here. Now we just kind of wait. If it consolidates in this range, that's what we kind of want, is for it to consolidate within this little liquidity void, and then move to the downside. And for those of you that haven't been watching for all, specifically what I was looking for, just so you guys can learn from it, is I want to break under this low, leaving imbalances along the way. And then the stop loss would be up here. If it gets above that, stop out and move on. But ideally, we want to see it consolidate anywhere really within this range from our stop to our entry, and then make a push to the downside. Somebody added me in the chat. Excuse me. There we go. Nice little reaction. There we go. Yeah, and feel free if you'd like. Feel free to start covering whenever you wish, or move stops to break even. It's really up to you. Yeah, again, if you don't want to take any loss, feel free. If you want to cut, it's a break even here. Didn't really get that much of a move. It's totally up to you. Because it could easily come up in here in reverse, but that's totally up to you guys. Anytime I'm going to give you guys a trade, I'm going to tell you, feel free to de-risk if you want. I want to have a couple questions. Oh, these aren't questions. Oh, hell yeah, people are eating off of it in the chat. 3D, I see you. QQQ, so that's basically this right here. That's the inverse of this, I think, right? So you can play that against this, I'm guessing. I said, do I have a template available for my trading view set up available to download, even if that's a thing? I think that I'm pretty sure you can, there's a certain way you can like copy it to yours. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard for me to remember. Wait, so make a copy. There's a way that I know that doesn't, I don't think that'll let you use the copy. If anybody knows, please let me know, because I think there is a way, but I don't know. I think if I give you my link, If I give you this link, I want to put it in the comments. I think you can just use like view it like that. Not all the way positive though. But try that. I appreciate you, Fernando. So I said immediate green trade, demo 1.5 spread. Yeah, lessons go far. Fuck yeah, man. I'm happy to see it. And somebody was talking about Bitcoin. Fernando, you said the Bitcoin had filled the gap, then rejection equal lows below. Hey, if you like the setup, by all means, chase. No, I don't want to say chase, but you get. I just hate that word, but you get the idea. By all means, take it. I should say. So what we want to see here, if we continue, is we're just kind of looking at, when we see this institutional structure shift to bearish, and the reason I required that displacement and didn't really like this was because to me, that isn't displacement. Like, yeah, it's a big bodied candle. Yeah, it takes out a short-term low, but it's one of those things like it's hard to teach because you almost get a feel for it over knowing the asset you're trading. And because I know whenever I started out trading indices, I learned real quick that you got to be very picky with, when you're using these low time frames. Remember, these low time frames don't really mean much. So you're already kind of, you're really looking at things under a microscope. So you need it to be very undeniable. You know what I mean? Or at least what you think is undeniable to see those moves to the downside, because this to me is displacement. That move down right here, you break and you close a nice candle under it. That to me is displacement. We didn't really close under it, but it seems like a move into those lows. Now, what you want to see if you want to continue is you want to see that institutional structure remain bearish. So if we come to a premium of the impulse swings into imbalances or breakers or whatever kind of price delivery array you have, you want to see the same reaction off of it. And when you start to not see that and you start to see an accumulation, or maybe you start to see breaks switch to the upside, that's where the structure might be shifting. I know a lot of people too with these trades will have trouble holding them for too long sometimes. I know that can be a problem as well.
It should start working. Apple and Tesla are making the move to the downside now, so you'll see NASDAQ and SPY move down.
I need to get more screens. I would watch Apple and Tesla, honestly, because it's not a bad. It's the same thing. Like, you could do SMT divergence with those as well. Like, for instance, if you saw like Tesla make a higher high, like in this situation, you could just short it, like literally short it, and just like wider stop. But They're
being a little tough for people right now.
I wish when I clicked my man. Somebody asked me if NOS was on Bybit. I wish. I think they have it on like FTX. I don't know if it's the same, but I know FTX was like making a push for having stocks, and I think there's a couple other ones. But what's crazy, and this is how a lot of Forex brokers work too. What's crazy is, like some of these brokers, like they literally aren't even actually trading, or you're not even trading anything. They're just betting on the fact that more traders lose money. Did you know that? Like, so for instance, like a lot of Forex brokers, you're actually not even trading anything, like the CFDs, because they're just basically betting on the people that lose money will lose enough to pay the people that make money. Isn't that crazy? Like, that was a pretty crazy fact to me, like when I learned that. Again, happy birthday to Rudy in the chat. Everyone go tell him happy birthday. And we're coming to London close too, so really this whole hour, 10 to 11 New York time, you'll usually see some profit taking from foreign institutions, oftentimes causing a retracement of the morning move, like the early morning, not like the 9:30 morning, but like from like 2 a.m. till now. So that's why a lot of times, and we went over this in the private class in the server, but that's why a lot of times you'll be able to see kind of the intention of the day by observing what kind of price action and what kind of liquidity is being manipulated during a London session and right after New York midnight. And a lot of times these moves in the morning or during the New York session, especially the AM session, are just retracing that move, kind of market makers passing the torch to one another, if you will. Basically engineering liquidity at certain areas and then kind of front running those areas with what retail would perceive as a good place to put your stop loss. And then you'll see a push into the liquidity pools, and that maybe the London market makers, because it's almost an agreement, if you will, between different banks in order to move money around and make markets efficient for the larger bodies at play. What's the S&P doing? See, everybody's saying chop chop. It hasn't done shit. See, that's why I didn't want to take the S&P whenever, because with the stop was little. Obviously, it's going to be. Actually, I don't even know if it was tighter. Oh yeah. Well, no, it was wider in the S&P, which is crazy. Usually, it's not. That's why I didn't really want to take the S&P. I mean, I think this looks like it's probably going to make a move to the downside, but I just thought the setup on NAS was better. NOS, I say it different all the time. I don't know. My brain's weird whenever it comes to stuff like that. I see some people in the chat talking about Shopify's under watch list level. Some other looks like stuff's kind of moving to the downside.
Dude, Shopify's $26 yesterday when I checked.
What I have no like context. Like I'm the only thing I watch for stocks are like sometimes Tesla. Did our Tesla TA we went over fucking smack though? By the way, I know the stock guy saw that. I was like, damn, that shit went straight. I didn't even watch it. I put a target and then they went straight there. Honestly, I will tell you, this looks like a potential. I mean, I don't trade this asset, but I mean, Jesus Christ, if you were ever going to long this, I don't know though. This could be just some redistribution, to be in all honesty. The way the volume and the move that came off of this imbalance right here, that would make me hesitant to want to long it. Yeah, it's probably going lower. Probably coming under these lows here. That's where I would look for Shopify to head to, if not lower. Honestly, probably somewhere like, I would say like $25 Shopify.
That's cool with it. Oh,
Crazy.
yeah, what the fuck?
What is it? Did it dump? Oh, nice. There we go. Look, I turned my phone. I have to turn my MetaTrader off. Those numbers make you start feeling funny. The blue numbers, it's like designed, I swear. There we go, guys.
Whoa. Why has Nas been nothing but ball since open?
That's look way better, I think, than S&P.
There's so much volume on it. What the fuck?
It's been the leader lately. A lot of the time, I've noticed over the S&P. There's a couple of times the S&P's fucked up NOS setups, but usually I notice the better setups are NOS.
Yeah, that's why I love trading the Nas chart.
Yeah. Usually what'll happen here is something I've been studying. Usually we have it here. A lot of times you'll create like a 5-minute fair value gap or a 15. I know it's not. Well, actually, it might be if this closes here. You'll create some form of higher time frame imbalance that usually acts as a vacuum to price a lot of the time. Did S&P ever wake up? I'm assuming it might have a little bit. That's something. So he said, I'm addicted. Hypothetically took 75%. I'm glad that you took 75%, but don't be addicted. That's not good. Nice little morning. I'm glad we could see that live. And this setup that I used, you can use this. It's not just for indices. It just works well with the time and price of indices around this time in the morning. But you can use this setup on really any kind of liquidity rate. It's just what I use to trade For instance, if we get above an old high, now, I'm on a 1 minute because we're above a 15-minute high. But let's just say we're above like a 4-hour high, I'd probably be using a 5-minute. If we're above like a daily high, I'm probably going to use a 15-minute. But the thing I want to stress here is remember you're playing a retracement and a rebalance of price. So, for instance, you don't want to just shoot for the stars all the time. Now, sometimes you can, for sure, but sometimes you'll see price only move a little bit, or you might see that the setup itself isn't really that great. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, let's just say like you had a very lackluster impulse move into the high, or there was no clear target of liquidity, those types of things. If you have that, you might forward test the logic, but you don't want to force a trade if the risk to reward isn't there, or if the move there is not going to be big enough. It's just, again, you're using you're really delving into, why is price doing what it's doing, and just because that doesn't necessarily mean there's an opportunity to capitalize off of it. And not every time you understand what's going to happen, you don't have to participate. So, because there's a lot of times with liquidity raids where it's like the next, let's just say we did this right here, and there was just a shitload of equal lows right here. Well, I wouldn't have taken it, because what's going to happen is it's going to come under those lows and it's going to come and seek your stop loss, because price is just playing ping pong between levels of liquidity, moving so it can satisfy the market. It's moving to wherever a fair value is established, and that's where there is orders of, the asset changing hands, because that's the market maker's job here.
Unless it's Bitcoin.
I mean, Bitcoin's the same. It's the same thing. Anything, any price is just moving between any areas of liquidity. It's just, that's the way that this number comes on your screen. Is just price gets an inefficiency of supply and demand. Like, for instance, market makers spammed a lot of sell orders here and sold to this liquidity above this high, right? And then we are also in the liquidity pool above the 15-minute high. So then you'll see, okay, the market, there's no more liquidity here. We have to go to where there's liquidity. Where's it going to go? It's going to go to price delivery arrays and a premium, right? Because there's going to be big enough orders that are going to be able to fill and satisfy the market's demands. Then it comes down here. Then it's going to go back up to another level. You see what I mean? And it's just going to continuously do that. That's how a lot of the time when we're on the daily chart on the weekly outlook stream, we'll look at things and say, okay, well, I think this daily candle is going to close bullish or bearish. And same thing with the weekly. And that'll help you a lot of the times in your, journey, if you will, navigating through the daily price action, because you always want to operate in that context. But again, it's just, price is fractal. So what we're going to be able to see on the higher time frames, and that bias we're going to develop there, we're going to see the same behavior on the lower time frames as long as we're correct. I know you were probably just kidding, Hoochie. I just did want to explain that. I know you know that, but so right here I see price kind of came back up. Looks like in the supply candle it's fighting within this little gap right here, but I don't know if it's going to hold. We didn't really get above any considerable high here to tell me that there was displacement pushing the upside. But if it was going to reverse, it would be right around here. S&P doing? S&P is just chilling. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't take that instead of the NASDAQ. I would have been sad. Another piece of advice that I have: if you're gonna trade this model, don't let like if any of you are watching, that candle kind of was like, flickering, I guess be the word. And the same thing happened up here when we were like right near our stop. Don't let that shit fuck with you, because it happens every time. And it used to fuck with me. Like, it still does sometimes. Anytime I like teach you guys something, I don't mean to like make it sound like I'm just like, oh yeah, I never, it's just from experience. You know what I mean? Like, because I know if you're like, say if you're in a sell right here and it starts flickering up, you're like, oh fuck this, I'm cutting it. That, I swear, it's almost like that's what that's designed to do to you. But really what's happening, I think, is the inefficiency of supply and demand is creating, so the candle's expanding. It doesn't really know where to go. Once it has nowhere to go except where there's orders, it's going to go down to those orders. The way I look at this is I try to think of it like theoretically a market maker would, if you will. So if I'm looking at this chart and I'm like, okay, if I am looking to drive price up, I'm going to need liquidity to do it. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and it could be within this area here.
Apple's dying.
Apple's
You should
dying?
get paid in a second.
Good.
Yeah.
What I would look at this as, like, okay, there's definitely going to be stop losses here from what I can tell. Now, I also see that I think that there's institutional orders within this realm right here. Now, if we look, those already got filled. So if I move it down to this imbalance, we have that imbalance, right? Before that first displacement move, right? And then we created this sell side liquidity here by moving rapidly away from a zone, that little double bottom, because retail loves that for stop losses. And again, there's no law that it has to just get hit. Price can return around here. I'm just trying to develop a narrative personally of what I think, so that's just that was the other, I guess, the framework, if you will, behind this trade. And then after that, I would probably look for price to come up and take out these highs right here, because now we form these relatively equal highs. But again, it's stepping stones. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like coming to your desk in the morning. You should already know your overall bias, or if you have no bias, then kind of just sit it out, or just see what the market gives you. But yeah, let's go back to channel 1 minute in the NASDAQ. Watch this, my favorite channel. No, I really do like watching price, just kind of like studying it almost sometimes. And that sounds crazy, but I like watching it. Even if I'm not trading, sometimes I'll just like kind of not just sit and stare at it, but watch what it does and where it bounces between. And see, that's what I was saying. Like, we came up, we hit into some form of supply, come back down to this liquidity. Now we're going to seek this high and other liquidity. And you kind of just watching price ping pong between those levels. Kind of a lackluster morning. I mean, we got a nice little 50-point drop, but I think it was like 50 points, wasn't it? It's actually a little more. It has almost 60, but it's not really that crazy for the NASDAQ.
That's crazy. Should have had a way bigger reaction. If you look at Apple, bro, they leaked some news. The accidental leak in quotations.
Right. What is Apple doing? Also, another thing too, if you're in this trade, probably go ahead. You can move your stops to entry if you'd like. Again, if this was news-based, that would make me think it would be bullish in a way, potentially, because it'd be just rating lows. But I don't know what the news was.
Oh, I don't either. I just heard it over my stream in 2 different areas. They're like, Apple news. I was like, oh, something's happening. And then I look, and it's like that. They have an Apple event today, so.
Oh, they do. Okay, that makes sense.
I think Brazil's banning iPhones or some shit.
Really? That's pretty stupid. I'm sure they have their reason, though.
Yeah, that's just not gonna last, though.
ETH Classic is fucking running again.
Did it hit? We had a POI we went over on stream yesterday. It was funny because we got off stream right before the market started dumping. Oh my god, it really. Oh no, it didn't. Never mind. No. We marked both these POIs on stream yesterday, and we're like talking about it was like up here, and everybody's like, yeah, what could happen? I was like, well, we could either take this high or form equal highs and then, move back down to one of these POIs, like take a little while to develop. And I literally like got off stream and I looked at my ETH position. I was like, what the fuck? Because we took that ETH short yesterday and that shit.
That was so fucking quick.
Yeah, that was so
quick.
sad. I love that shit, bro. This wasn't the full TP for those watching. I just moved it down because this was our bottom. The TP was like 3.78 R or something. Like it was somewhere in this region up here. I think it was like this low maybe or this low. So I don't want to deceive anybody. I hate when people do that. Whenever like I'll move it to show where we're at if we have runners, because I did tell everybody to hold a runner, but it's just it's fucking awesome how quickly that one moved for us. I know you guys were on the stream yesterday, caught that as well. Shit, guys. I actually have stuff I do got to get on and get done today. So I appreciate all you guys coming through. It was nice we could kind of watch that price action. It wasn't really the most insane move, but still, bias was correct. I don't know if the full TP will hit. We'll see. It seems like it's pushing back up to entry, but yeah. Manage it at your own discretion. Again, not the craziest trade, but it's still cool to see how it works. That way you guys can maybe go out, chart up some of these moves on your own and send them to me. But yeah, I appreciate everything. And until tomorrow, I'll see you guys later. Peace.